Hello, chess fans. Welcome to another edition of Chess Chat, brought to you live from the Workers Credit Union studios at Fitchburg Access Television. I am your host, George Merijanian, Program Director of the Wachusett Chess Club at Fitchburg State University. This club had been meeting Wednesday nights at the McKay Complex at the university, but we have been in suspension since March 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are hopeful of returning before long to over-the-board activity at the McKay Complex this fall. Now with me once again for this episode of Chess Chat is our award-winning director Darren Dame of Fitchburg, the recipient of the prestigious FATV's prestigious Boulder Award. He's assisted in the control room by fellow Fitchburg resident Brian Bigelow, a longtime Wachusett Chess Club member. And sitting across from me is my very capable, able, qualified, super great co-host, Dave Couture Westminster, who's a photographer, a writer. He's written a book. What's the name of your Progressive
Tactics?
Yeah, that's a great book that you've written,
Thank you.
Progressive Tactics. So Dave actually has been my co-host for a number of years, and I welcome him every time we do Chess Chat. So Dave, welcome again.
Thank you.
Dave, you know, on this program we're doing today, we're going to pay tribute to a woman, a remarkable one. Mm-hmm. Her name, Carol Jarecki. Carol Jarecki was a woman who started out as a chess mom.
Right.
Now she was born, let's start with her beginnings. Mm-hmm. She was born in February 1935 in Neptune, New Jersey. And you know who else actually was born in Neptune, New Jersey?
I don't.
You'll never guess. Two well-known actors.
Really?
Jack Nicholson
Really?
was born in Neptune 2 years after Carol Jarecki was born. She was born in 1937. Yeah. She was 35. And Danny DeVito was also born in Neptune. Wow. So little trivia about Neptune, New Jersey. But she went actually to school in Asbury Park. She was born in Neptune, New Jersey, graduated from Asbury Park High School, and then went to the University of Pennsylvania to study nursing, went to the School of Nursing, studied anesthesiology, and actually became a nurse at a medical center in New Jersey. And that's where she met her husband, Richard Jarecki, who was doing an internship at this medical center. And they got married. They got married in 1964. And 3 years later, 1967, they moved to Heidelberg, Germany. For him, he was pursuing a medical degree, and he was doing it in Germany, in Heidelberg. Okay. And it was in 1969 that they had their first child, John Jarecki, their son, who actually became a prodigy. Right. John Jarecki, actually, what he did at the age of 12, he became a chess master, which at that time, in 1981, was the youngest. Yep. Now, that record has been broken since. Yep. But he did something which no other youngster has ever done. He won the National Elementary and the National Junior High Championship in the same year. Mm-hmm. No youngster has ever done that since John Jarecki did that many years ago. Now, they came back. In 1974, they came back to the United States, and John was like 5 years old. Okay. And he started taking interest in chess, and he wanted to go and play in tournaments. His mother, Carol, would bring him, would actually drive him to the tournaments, and later she was flying him to the tournament because she was actually a licensed pilot. I think actually Darren actually has there's a photo of, she's got a certificate. It's actually for a pilot's license, I believe. And I believe that maybe her trainer
it's something. That certificate is for something special. It's
something special?
It's not just an ordinary pilot's
license.
It's
something special?
Yeah.
Okay.
Regarding piloting.
So it's like pilot.
Expert pilot,
Well, she actually, they asked her one time, I think she was interviewed, and they asked her, well, how many hours of flying have you put in? And she reported that she said to the interviewer, she says, well, I put in at least more than 4,200 hours of flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she used to fly coast to coast.
And I read she was flying in her 80s.
Yes, she was still flying in her 80s, exactly. Yeah. So she flew all over the place, flying the tournaments, flew her son. Now her son quit chess unfortunately, her quit chess when he was in his teens, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. But Carol stayed with, she took an interest actually in the whole chess world, the chess players, chess organization, chess directing, and she became a very accomplished tournament director.
Right.
She became a national tournament director with the U.S. Chess Federation, and then she also became an international arbiter with the World Chess Federation. She was well known. She was known from coast to coast by every serious chess player
And
in this
around
country.
the world, right?
And around the world.
Yeah.
She was respected. She was one of the most respected and most knowledgeable tournament directors ever was. She knew the rules of chess. You know, there are rules of the U.S. Chess Federation, but there are also rules of the World Chess Federation.
Right.
She knew them.
Yeah.
She knew them backwards and forwards. But she was a no-nonsense director. You could not actually...
I read that repeatedly. People said she was no nonsense.
She was no nonsense. So, again, we mourn her passing, but because she died this last month. It was June 13th, 2021, at the age of 86. But again, she was a phenomenal person who started out as a chess mom, bringing her son to tournaments, and he in turn left chess, you know, at a young age, in his teens. But Carol stayed with it for like what 40 was it? Like more than 45 years.
Yeah.
She stayed with it and became one of the most accomplished tournament directors, arbiters in the world.
Right, and we should say that like she was the chief arbiter for one of the world championship matches, the one in New York City.
1995, when Garry Kasparov played Viswanathan Anand at the World Trade Center in New York, top floor of the World Trade Center, she was the chief arbiter of that match. And she directed major tournaments like the U.S. She also directed a number of U.S. championships. She directed super national scholastic. Here are some photos that Darren is showing. We could show, actually, as I talk about Carol, we can show these photos of Carol. You know, here she's at the board. But she directed major events like the World Open. There's also a very popular tournament, the Bermuda Open, that she directed. And she directed tournaments in Massachusetts. She came up actually and directed. And she started with Bill Goichberg, the #1 chief organizer in the country. Bill Goichberg of New York, who started actually 60 years ago. She started with him assisting in tournaments and worked her way up and became one of the top tournament directors, arbiters in chess. And again, we're very sad about the passing of Carol Jarecki. Now, what we have, here's actually a great photo of Carol. And I got to know her at U.S. Opens. When I played in U.S. Opens, Carol was there, either as a director or assisting. She was well known. Any serious chess player that did not know the name Carol Jarecki could not be a serious chess player. So, anyways, we mourn her passing, and we're going to present a game played by her son. Remember, if it were not for her son, Carol would not have taken the route she did and become the great chess arbiter, tournament arbiter and director that she was. Her son played when he was 15 years old in, I think, in 1984.
1984, it says,
This was the World Olympiad in Greece, Thessaloniki, Greece, and actually the son was not playing for the United States. First of all, he was not that strong enough at the age of, even though he's a master at 12, no, he was playing for what country was he representing?
The British Virgin Islands.
The British Virgin Islands, yes, because actually that's, and Carol actually we used to go to the Olympiads and was a delegate from the British Virgin Islands. But we found the game, you found the game, that the son played against a player from Andorra. This was a master from Andorra named Santa Maria, Vicens Santa Maria. We wanted to present this game because we wanted to show, if it were not for the son, John, Carol would never have done what she did. So in this game, the player from Andorra, Senor Santa Maria, opened with what move? Let's see what move he opened.
E4.
Okay, a good opening move. We've played this numerous times. To which John Jarecki responded with C5, the pawn C7 to C5. What do we have here? Do we have
Sicilian.
Sicilian defense. Very, very popular, very common defense against the king-pawn opening, E4. Okay, how did actually White continue on his second move?
White's second move is interesting because normally, knight to F3 is considered the strongest move.
Yeah, the most common. Yeah,
there's a number of players who will play knight to c3.
Yeah, both are good.
Right, but he plays c3, pawn to c3.
Now, I don't think in all the years we've been doing chess chat, we've been doing chess chat now 15 years. I don't recall, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever seen c3 on the second move against the Sicilian defense.
Yeah, it's not common.
Not common, but you know, there is a great player from New England who made this part of his repertoire early in his career, or years ago, was the great John Curto. John Curto, multi-time, 17-time Massachusetts State champion, multi-time New England champion.
New England champion, yeah.
He used to play this, C3, and this is known as the, you would say Alapin.
I would say Alapin.
Yeah, actually, this is a Russian player, Semyon Alapin. Actually, this is named after this great Russian player from more than 100 years ago, whose name is attached to this variation. All right, so what did John Jarecki do? Well, what he did, he decided to bring his knight on g8 to f6 and attack the pawn on e4. Knight f6 is his second move, okay? The pawn is under attack.
Right.
So what is white going to do?
So he pushes it. So now he's attacking the knight.
Okay, so the knight has to move.
Yep.
Now, and the knight's certainly not going to go back to g8.
Right.
That would be totally illogical to retreat. Instead, the knight is going to go to a logical square. Knight goes to d5.
Right.
Okay, and that actually is black's move here. Okay? So, it's white's move. What's the next move for white?
So he pushes his other central pawn to d4.
So that was the purpose of c3, to support
d4, right?
It supports the advance of d4. Okay.
I would say the real purpose of c3 though is to get black completely out of his normal Sicilian lines, because it's hardly even a Sicilian anymore.
Right.
So everything that black is used to playing in a Sicilian is pretty much out the window.
So that must annoy a Sicilian defense player.
Oh, absolutely.
Be faced with
It's not considered the strongest.
Yeah.
And against the best play by black, supposedly black can equalize.
Right.
But on the other hand, black can't play use his normal Sicilian knowledge any longer.
Right. Exactly. All right. So now we see that, see white now actually with that move is actually threatened to take this pawn.
Sure, yeah.
With the queen attacking an undefended knight.
Sure, yeah.
So what black did, what John Jarecki did, was capture. The C takes d4.
Right.
That was actually his fourth move. All right. Now, what does white do now?
So he plays knight f3. I mean, he obviously could just play pawn takes pawn.
Right.
But he plays knight f3.
Yep.
Because now this pawn is attacked 3 times.
Right.
He doesn't have to take it immediately. He can take it at any point.
And this pawn certainly cannot take that pawn because the queen would win the knight.
He takes here, the queen takes the knight. So.
All right. So the knight f3 is a very good move.
Yep.
It's a very logical move.
Yeah.
All right. So what John Jarecki does is play knight c6 on his fifth move. Develop. He's actually right now ahead of development as far as 2 knights.
Sure,
He has 2 knights versus white's one knight.
Right.
Okay. So what does white do now?
Bishop to c4, attacking the knight on d5.
Okay. With the knight attacked on d5, black, John Jarecki, retreats the knight or redeploys it to b6, which we would call gaining a tempo.
Right.
Black gains time by now attacking the bishop, undefended bishop on c4. That we call gaining a tempo.
Right.
All right. So what does white do now? It certainly has to save that bishop.
Right. So he just pulls it back to b3.
Okay.
So he's still aiming at that king side.
All right. Okay. In response to that, black now plays d6, plays the pawn to d6. Now with this move, black now is attacking this pawn on e5 2 times.
Twice.
It's only defended once.
Right.
All right. So what does that force white to do?
So white plays, he takes d6.
He takes d6. Okay, that was the 8th move for white.
Yep.
And to which black responds, not going to take with the pawn and create double pawns.
Right.
Right. He just simply recaptures with the queen. Queen takes d6 is John Jarecki's 8th move. All right. White's 9th move coming up. What does he do?
So just castles.
Okay, so he's already on the 9th move, already in a safe position.
Right.
Castle. Yeah. It's always good to castle as early as possible.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes. It's gonna be a little while before we see black.
He has to get that bishop out first.
Right, exactly. All right. So after castling, now here comes a very good move by black.
Yeah. This is interesting.
This move. You and I like this move.
Yeah.
John Jarecki now played the pawn to d3.
Right.
Now again, it's protected. He advances it.
Right.
The queen is attacking it, but this black queen is defending
Right.
it. So this is a thorn in White's side,
Right.
especially since this knight is this pawn on c3 is depriving this knight from developing
the usual square.
The usual square. Right. So that d3 is again a thorn in White's side here.
And we're going to see later it's going to be a critical.
Yes, it's going to play a role in this game. All right. So what happened now with White's next move?
So, knight to a3, which is something that's almost standard in the Alpine Sicilian, is that since the square is not available, the knight often comes out to.
Is there a threat now?
A3.
Is White threatening something here with that move? I mean, like we can see the possibility of going here attack the queen.
Right.
Or even here attack. That queen could come under attack with that knight on
Could come under attack, right? And then then there's also the possibility that could hop into c7, forking. So.
Right. Okay. So what Black decides to do is to actually further defend the pawn on d3. It's defended right now with the queen.
Right.
But Black wants to make sure that pawn is fixed and defended properly by playing bishop f5, develops the bishop, defends the pawn, and that's an excellent move to play. All right, White's move. Now what does White do?
Because this way, now that when the knight comes to b5 attacking the queen isn't necessarily stuck defending the pawn.
So that was the 11th move by White. The queen has to move, but the queen has to protect this square here because we cannot allow this knight to sink in here with check forking the king and the rook and winning the rook.
Right.
So how many moves actually does Black have here to protect that square? I only see, I see
That's three, right?
Three. We see the queen here protects it, or the queen here to b8 protects it, or the queen to d8 protects it. And that's what he did. Now you point out to me.
I think we both agree that this seemed a little surprising that he didn't put it here
and
leave that back rank open.
Keep this vacant square for possibly bring the rook over. So even at the age of 15, he played not the best move. This was a better move. He chose to play queen d, bringing it back. Okay, but it's now White's move. White's now going to play now the 12th move.
So he plays knight b to d4.
What is there a threat?
He's threatening the bishop on f5.
Bishop's under attack. So he has to certainly say that he can't lose that bishop. But again, with the block, and he certainly cannot retreat the bishop off this diagonal because this queen, he wants to hold on to this pawn. That bishop is the only thing protecting that pawn. So he just brings the bishop back to g6. So that's a very good move. All right. Now it's White's next move coming up, 13th move. What does he do?
Plays rook e1. On the half-open e file.
Because the rook belongs. The rook has no future staying on the f1 square. Here it actually it activates opening on a semi-open file like this.
Especially when you got the king still sitting there. It's dangerous for Black.
Okay. So now we see Black has the problem as far as trying to get castle here. He can't do it without getting this bishop out. So he plays e6, pawn to e6, which at least now opens up for the bishop to come out. Okay, what does White do now? It's White's now 14th move. Okay.
So White captures the knight on c6.
Okay, so he eliminates the knight there. And what Black's response is forced. He has to recapture with the pawn. So the b pawn takes on c6. Okay, so that's what we have here. Now it's White's, what do we have here now? 15th move coming up? Okay, so what does White do here?
So knight e5.
Okay. Now, is there a threat here? What are we threatening?
Well, there's a threat.
Oh, yes.
There's a bishop also it's adding a second attacker.
We have it. But again, we are defending this twice. It's a two. But there's also this is a threat too. This pawn is loose here.
That's right.
Undefended. So what Black did here, he chose actually to develop this bishop. Instead of defending here, he brought the bishop out and said, hey, I'm going to attack here and actually aim myself at this castle king position. All right. Now, this would be a mistake. Now, it's white's move.
White's move, right.
Would this now be a mistake? Let's show our viewers why, before we show what white actually played, white did not play knight takes c6. Why not? Why is this a mistake? Because if the knight takes this pawn here, I can see where the queen can go here, attack the queen, but also be able to take here with check, win that. Yeah, so this would be dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, this would.
But yeah, there's also.
Is that pawn? Okay.
Yeah,
so
but the other so put the pawn.
Put the pawn here. Okay.
Yeah. But the other thing is.
Oh, or actually we could actually take here first.
Well, right now it's white, so it's white's move.
It's white's move, right? What if actually?
But,
oh yes.
But
oh, yes.
one thing that might occur to someone
let's show the opening trap.
Is he just, blocked the queen from defending here? So now he's got two attackers and only one defender. So
let's take it.
So white might say, "I'm going to take the pawn. It looks like it's a free pawn."
And then black said, "Well, he says, I'll just simply take this piece." Yeah.
Hold on to that.
Right. Hold on to that. If the queen takes back.
The queen takes back, he's in trouble.
Because he will lose his queen with bishop takes h2, check, and after the king moves, the queen will win this queen on d3.
So that pawn can't be taken.
That's poison.
Yep.
So that's an opening trap.
Yeah.
All right. So we have this pawn, this knight here.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. So in this position, black decided to play bishop d6. This knight cannot take this pawn because of the trap we saw.
Yeah. He can't take this pawn either.
Can't take that pawn either. So what did he do?
Bishop to f4 and developing his other bishop, defending the knight.
Okay, he defends the knight.
Yep.
Okay, that was move 16. Now we come with, now there is a threat of taking here. Is there now not a threat?
Right, yes.
So now he does come here, the queen, the c7, protects this pawn, adds further pressure on this knight, but of course it's defended by the bishop and the rook. So it's adequately defended. So now what is white going to do? It's white's next move. What does happen?
So queen f3.
Okay, now what's the threat?
It's threatening.
Ooh, now we definitely have a threat.
Two attackers on that.
Double attacker on the pawn on c6. So how is black going to respond to queen f3 here? Well, he decides in this position to play this knight on b6, back to d7, and now have actually a triple attack. We have three pieces attacking this knight on e5. All right. So how is white going to handle this? He's got a knight attacked 3 times. It's only defended twice with the rook on e1 and the bishop at 4.
Yeah, and so so what he probably should have done.
What should he have done?
Probably should have just snapped this pawn on d3.
Yes.
So grabbing the pawn.
Yes.
And now
defends that.
Defending the bishop.
So that was the move he should have played.
It's what he should have played, and by not doing that, he doesn't see what's coming.
What does he do?
He plays bishop to a4.
Oh.
So.
Is this a blunder? This has to be a blunder.
Well, yeah, it is a blunder, but I don't think it's a real obvious one. I mean,
right, exactly. It seems like a logical move.
Right.
Now, it says, if you can attack my piece on e5 3 times, well, I can attack your pawn on c6 3 times with the queen, the knight, and the bishop.
Right.
All right. However, it doesn't work that way. It's like first come, first serve. I attacked you 3 times first. If you think you can come back and attack me 3 times, it's not going to work.
I think he overlooked what black was going to do next.
Exactly.
Completely.
The next move must have surprised white, because it was actually the 18th move. Black now, John Jarecki plays the pawn to d2, which now attacks the rook.
The rook.
Yeah, e1. Okay. All right. So wait a minute. What is white going to do here? This looks like a very. He certainly cannot go back and take that pawn with the bishop, because he needs to protect this knight on e5.
Right.
So that pawn is taboo. He cannot capture that pawn. So was there anything he could do here? I mean,
I don't think there's anything really good that he can do.
So what did he end up doing?
What he ends up doing, he takes the pawn on c6.
Okay, because he figures, wait a minute, I can take the pawn on c6. And now I'm attacking, threatening to win this rook.
Threatening to win the rook.
Okay.
You're also pinning this knight, so this knight can no longer capture.
Okay.
So it's pinned against the king.
Okay. Now, black says, there's no need for me to save this rook. I've got a little Zwischenzug, in between move.
Right.
I'm going to take the rook that you left to me to capture, the D takes the pawn, the rook on E1,
right.
promotes it to a queen.
To a queen.
So we get a queen back.
Momentarily.
Momentarily, but of course it's going to be gone. That queen on E1 is going to be captured by the rook on A1 moves. It captures on the 20th move. Now at this point, it's rather ironic. Here it is, on the 20th move, John Jarecki says, you know what? I think I want a castle.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to put the king in a safe place. So on move 20, he castles and actually has renewed the threat. By the way, the threat is still there, attacking here, but he also has the threat here of attacking this knight three times.
This knight is no longer pinned.
Right, the pin is no longer pinned. Okay, so after John Jarecki castled here on move 20, what did Vicente Santamaria do?
He plays knight takes D7.
Okay, knight takes D7 is his move, okay. Now, with this knight here, I see the knight is actually also attacking the rook here. Look at 2 rooks are attacked. This bishop is attacking this rook on A8. This knight is attacking this rook on F8. Okay, but what does John Jarecki do in response to that? Well, he says, wait a minute.
This bishop here is attacked twice.
He says, well, I think I will grab this bishop on F4. Bishop takes F4 was his move. All right, so that's what he did. All right, so what does white do? Whoa.
And we have to keep in mind, white has lost a rook now.
There's a rook, yes. White is without a rook here.
White's a rook down.
White chose to allow a promotion of a black pawn to a rook, to a queen, which was captured by a rook. All right, so what does white do now?
He takes the rook on A8.
Okay, bishop takes A8. That was his 22nd move. Okay, and now in response to that, black says, well, wait a minute. You know what? Maybe I'll abandon the defense of this bishop, and I think I'll take this knight on D7.
Right, because the knight on D7 was attacking the rook
That's true. So he had to, so he had to get rid of that knight attacking the rook. Right, he had to do that.
Yeah.
All right, so what does white do now after queen takes D7? His 23rd move coming up.
So rook to D1 attacking the queen.
Okay, queen's under attack now.
Keep in mind that white is down a bishop now.
Yes, and he also realized that the queen is also attacking this under. So black says, wait a minute, I got to rush back to this square, which defends the bishop again.
Yeah.
All right, but remember he's still down.
He's down a bishop.
Down a bishop now.
And his bishop
now he's down a bishop.
Bishop on A8 is
it's defended.
Oh, it is. That's right.
It is defended by the queen.
That's right.
All right. So he's down a full bishop here.
Right.
White is.
So back to C6.
So he says, wait a minute. He said, I got to get out of here. I got to move out. Okay.
Yep.
So at this point, after bishop C6, John Jarecki says, hey, bishop takes the pawn H2 check. Yep. That's what he did. He played check. And what happened here? What happened at this point?
Apparently, white resigned.
White realized, wait a minute. I would have to either move the king, either to F1 or H1, but I'm down a full bishop.
Right.
There's no way I can save this game. There's no way I can actually pull a miracle and get a draw out of this. So he decided in this position to resign.
Yep.
He resigned the game. So this was a game played by 15-year-old John Jarecki at the World Olympiad in Thessaloniki, Greece. And again, we have to credit him for making his mother one of the top national TD in the United States, international arbiter for the World Chess Federation.
Yeah.
And again, she was a fantastic woman, and again, we're going to see it. I'm sure there's going to be a full multi-page report on her in the issue of Chess Life.
Chess Life, sure, yeah.
The publishers of the U.S. Chess Federation will be coming out with a story. So we hope that our chess fans enjoyed the game we presented. We'll see you next time for the next edition of Chess Chat.